Hello and welcome. This is yoga for back pain. We're going to be focusing specifically on yoga for people who are flexion intolerant. If you're extension intolerant, rotation intolerant, or load intolerant, then you would want to look for another video. If you're not sure what that means or that was gibberish, you can go to my website, tompfeiffer.com, to learn more about intolerance tests. Let's not waste any time, let's get straight into it. We're going to find a comfortable seated position. If you choose to sit with your legs crossed, I would ask that you elevate your butt so that we don't have any rounding. You can use a foam roller or anything else to elevate your hips. I'm going to be sitting on my heels like this. You could also put a foam roller between your legs if this is too intense for you. We're going to be starting with 30 deep diaphragmatic breaths. So breathing deeply, you can start right now. 30 breaths. And I'm going to talk to you as you breathe as deeply as you can. The diaphragm is our breathing muscle. It connects directly to our spine. When we breathe shallowly or just in our chest, we lack blood flow. We don't get enough blood flow to our spine, to our organs, to our whole body. By focusing on expanding your entire torso, you end up getting more blood flow, which can lead to greater recovery, which can also keep you calm when we're in these stretches that we're going to be doing over the next 15-20 minutes. And so whenever you get to a position where you're unable to breathe like this, I want you to adjust. I want you to find a position where you can maintain this deep breath. Be careful not to raise your shoulders up as you're breathing. Instead, think about expanding out to the side. You can even place your hands onto your ribs and breathe laterally into your hands. Think about your body as a sphere and breathe equally to each part of your body, of your torso. You can place your hands in the front or the back and breathe deeply. And again, throughout this practice, I want you to think about breathing deeply. We're going to take this deep breath and we're going to go to a cat-camel. So you can move slowly and gradually to being on your hands and knees. You're going to keep breathing. On the inhale is when we're going to arch and look up slightly. On the exhale is when we're going to round. You're going to flow with this, breathing in on the way up, breathing out on the way down. And we're just trying to get a little bit of movement to our spine. You're not trying to do end range of motion or reach as far as you possibly can. No, we're just getting a little bit of motion in our spines. Make sure that you're not doing anything crazy with your neck. You're kind of loose. We're just going to do a few more flows. And when you're ready, you're going to come down to being on the mat, actually on your stomach. So this is an excellent position for anyone who is flexion intolerant. If this is painful for you, you can even come lower. If this is still uncomfortable for you, I would want you to think about squeezing your butt or pushing your hips into the ground. This will take the tension from your low back and put it more onto your hips. Now from there, breathing deeply. I want you to think about reaching your head tall, either a chin on the hands, or you can come up to your elbows. And just think about reaching tall towards the sky, breathing deeply. You should feel a nice stretch in the front of your torso, in your abdominals. Again, if you feel your lower back, I want you to squeeze your butt and think about pushing your hips into the ground. Always breathing deep. Now from here, we can slightly rotate onto our sides. So I'm going to just keep one elbow down and rotate to my side, breathing deeply. Try to be careful not to crunch up the top side. So think about lengthening both sides. Also, think about extending your hips forward. So if your hips are behind you like this, you're not going to get as much of a stretch. So think about extending your hips forward and then reaching tall with your head and breathing deep. You should feel a nice stretch on your right side. We're going to flow back and go to the other side, our left side. Same thing, pushing the hips forward, reaching tall. Feeling a nice stretch on my left side, breathing deep. So this first bit is just focusing on a little bit of spine movement, some cat camels, some lying on your stomach, and some lying on your side. Now we're going to go to the primary cause for most back pain, which is tight hips or inflexible hips. So we're going to come to a half kneeling position. I want you to bring your left foot forward. You're going to bring your right foot out, so away from your midline. I want you to think about tucking your butt under as much as you can. So I'm kind of extending or pushing my hips forward. And then I'm going to brace my core ever so slightly, so as if I were going to cough or sneeze. Achoo! Bracing my core just a little bit, and then lengthening, so being as tall as I can. This is a half kneeling hip flexor stretch. You should feel the stretch primarily in the front of your right hip. I'm going to rotate just so that you can see. Again, so I bring my back foot out. I brace my core a little bit. I tuck my hips. And then I reach as tall as I can. If you want to add even something extra to this, you can think about reaching away from your back leg and breathing deeply. Again, you should feel primarily a stretch in the front of your back leg. Breathing deep. On the inhale, think about holding or maintaining. On the exhale, think about making progress. Nice, you can switch sides. So bringing your left leg back, your right leg forward. Again, we're trying to bring your left foot out away from you. That's just going to help us get more of a stretch in the hip flexor. You're going to tuck your hips under, brace your core slightly, and then reach tall with your head. And then if you want to, you can reach away from your back leg. As I breathe in, I just maintain. As I breathe out, I try to make a little bit of progress. Never forcing anything, never cranking or yanking or pulling. No, just relaxing and breathing into the stretch. Nice, we're gonna go back to our right side. So with the right leg back and the left leg forward, and now we're gonna flow. So we're gonna breathe. As we exhale, we're gonna push forward. The most important thing is that I keep my hips tucked under, but I'm going to keep my hips tucked under and then push my hips forward slightly. If you don't keep your hips tucked under, then it just becomes a back stretch. So you really need to squeeze your right glute, tuck your hips under, and keep the stretch in the front of the right leg. I'm going to push my hips forward. On the inhale, I'm going to come back. And we're going to flow through this. You should be feeling a stretch in the the front of the back leg. Again, I'm going to rotate just so you can see. On the exhale, coming forward. Feeling a stretch right here. If you want to, you can also include the arms as you go forward, reaching up. Exhaling forward, reaching up. always being sure that you're not doing too much, right? Keeping a little bit of core engagement so you're not overbending too much, especially for my hyper mobile people. Make sure you're not overarching too much. You're focusing on the hip, not the lower back. Cool, we're gonna switch sides. So left leg back, right leg forward. Tucking the hip under. Exhaling forward, reaching up. Inhaling, coming back. And just flowing through this. There's no rush. I might be going faster or slower than you want to. Move at your own pace, move with your breath. And make sure you're never holding your breath. There's always movement happening. We're getting that diaphragm moving so we get blood flow to the spine. Nice. We're gonna go back to that first side, so with the left foot forward. Instead of focusing on the hip now, we're gonna focus on the glute and hamstring. So the front leg we're gonna focus on. We're trying to get our hands down to the ground. And this might be enough for you. You might feel a really nice stretch in the hamstring or even in the glute of the left leg. You're just gonna breathe here. If this is not too intense for you, you can think about touching one elbow to the ground on your exhale. Or the other elbow. Or what I like to do, which would be to flow from side to side. Something else that can be really nice is to take, in this case, since my left foot is forward, I'm gonna take my left hand and push my left knee out and breathe. This is just a very nice stretch to open up the inner thigh, the left hip, the hamstring, the glute. Make sure you're breathing. And you can think about making the elbows touch the ground. Don't force anything. So if it's too much, even just being in this position is good enough. You can make a fist, push the leg out, breathe. Don't force anything. We're gonna flow to the other side. So I'm just gonna rotate. With the right leg facing forward, I'm just bringing my body down. Always breathing deep. If you want to, you can also push that front leg out wide. Breathing, flowing, feeling that front leg stretch and open slightly. I think one of the biggest mistakes I made when I first started practicing yoga and stretching was wanting to do too much. You have to listen to your body and you have to respect your body. You can't force your way into a stretch. The way to do it is to breathe into the stretch. So it's the exact opposite of what most people might expect. You're not forcing the stretch, you're actually relaxing into the stretch. That's why the breath is so important. Cool, from here what we're gonna do is we're gonna come to a standing position. And I just want you to make your feet wide. I don't care if they're super wide, whatever you feel comfortable with, but you should feel like you're in control. So however wide that is for you, feet wide and you're in control. Now from here, we're gonna breathe deep, of course, and I'm gonna have you rotate your feet, however you need to not fall or anything, but we're gonna face forward. And so in this position, again, I'm feeling a stretch in the front of my back leg. We're gonna come back to the middle, and then we're gonna rotate to the other side. And we're gonna stay low, relatively low. You don't have to stay super low, but relatively low, and we're just gonna flow side to side. You can see that as I rotate to one side, my back heel lifts up, I'm on my toe. Then it comes down, I'm in like a horse stance. And then I rotate to the other side, my back heel comes up. Breathing into this position. Opening up the hips. Moving at your own pace, whatever feels good for you. Just make sure that you're breathing. Nice, we're gonna stay in the middle once you're ready, and we're gonna do a hinge. So So all we're gonna be doing is, if you need to for a second, you can also shake out your legs. But when you're ready, you're gonna breathe in, and then we're gonna hinge forward with a flat back. So to see from the side, I'm keeping my back relatively flat. You can put a hand on your stomach, a hand on your back. And then I'm just trying to make my butt face towards the sky. At this point, we're not rounding. We're keeping a flat or arched back. And we're going up and down. I keep a hand on my stomach and my back just to make sure that I'm not arching too much or rounding. I'm trying to keep a neutral spine as I flow through this hinge. Something else that somebody might like or you might like is pushing your hips back with your hands. You should feel a nice stretch in the back of your legs, maybe your inner thighs. Don't try to go too low. If you try to go too low, we're gonna be going into the back, which is fine, but I don't want you to focus on that for now. We're just focusing on the hips. Nice, now what I want you to do is I want you to crawl those feet in so that you're in about hip width. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna hinge until you feel a stretch in the back of your legs, and then we're gonna squeeze the butt to come to standing. And you're just flowing at your own pace through these hinges. Sometimes it's even nice to think about hinging and then sticking your butt out to the side. So it's almost like to the back corner, I'm shooting my hips. Sometimes that can feel like a really nice stretch in your hip or your glute. So if you want to do a little bit of swaying side to side, that's totally fine. Get some hip movement. It's almost like we're dancing salsa. Cool. After that, so now we have our final flow of this video. We're going to be getting into a single leg squat or a Cossack squat. So I'm going to stick my left foot out gradually, slowly like this. If this position is not doable for you at this time, I want you to just continue with wide stance flowing. Otherwise, I want you to come down into this Cossack squat. You can make your toes face towards the sky. You can go to the other side, breathing deeply. Even just holding this position, you're gonna feel a good ankle stretch, inner thigh stretch, maybe even calf or hamstring stretch. And then we're gonna flow. And now we can add a little bit more to this flow. So we're doing the Cossack squat. We can also rotate. I'll bring my back knee down. So it's like we're doing that first hip flexor stretch. I can reach up towards the sky. I can push my front leg out. I can come back to a Cossack squat and then switch to the other side. Rotating, bringing my back knee down, reaching up, pushing the front knee out. Always breathing deep. Again, if this is not doable for you or this is too intense or you're holding your breath, you need to make it easier. The way to do that would be just to come standing. Make it a little bit less intense, move at the hips. And this is the final flow. This is something that I will personally do to open up my hips if I don't have a lot of time. It's just a really nice, effective hip opener and one of my favorites. Cool, that was the video. Yoga for back pain. If you like the video, like the damn video. Comment down below what you would like to see next. And that's it. Enjoy this beautiful day. See you later.